You are in your early 40s. It is 6:30 a.m. on a Wednesday. You wake up before the alarm. For the last 20 years, this was a sign of stress. But today, it's different. Your eyes open and your brain is already online. You don't feel that tectonic fog that used to require 3 cups of coffee to move. You lie there for a moment, listening to the house breathe. You realize that for the first time in a decade, you aren't waking up to survive the day. You are waking up to architect it. You walk to the bathroom and look in the mirror. You don't see the kid you were at 25. And for the first time, you're okay with that. The kid was accidental. The kid was a product of high metabolism and low stakes. The man in the mirror is a product of choice. You notice the way your skin sits differently on your frame. You notice the clarity in your eyes. This is the biological reveal. Your body has stopped giving you unlimited credit. When you were 30, you could treat your body like a rental car. You could redline the engine and skip the maintenance. But in your 40s, the rental era is over. You own the machine now. Your resting heart rate is no longer a random number. It is a report card. Your body has stopped covering for your mistakes. If you eat the processed sugar, the inflammation shows up in your joints by noon. This isn't your body failing you. It is your body finally talking to you. It is providing a feedback loop that is 100% accurate. You realize that the accidental strength is gone. The intentional power is just beginning. A few months later, you're at the gym. It's 5:30 p.m. You're standing near the squat rack, watching a 22-year-old lift with terrible form and zero warm-up. 5 years ago, that would have irritated you. Today, you just feel a quiet sense of pity. You know something he doesn't. You know that movement is no longer free. You spend 15 minutes on mobility work before you touch a single plate. You aren't hurting. You are preparing. This is the level where you realize that your health has a tax. To feel 100%, you have to pay into the system. It's the extra glass of water. It's the consistent sleep window. It's the magnesium before bed. You've been told this is getting old. That is the lie. The truth is, you are becoming a master mechanic. You are learning the subtle vibrations of the engine. You can feel a cold coming on 3 days before it hits because you are finally tuned in. Research shows that in your 40s, your recovery capacity shifts. Your cells aren't slower, they are just more disciplined. They require better fuel to perform the same repairs. You stop looking for hacks and start looking for foundations. You realize that a 30-minute walk in the sun does more for your testosterone than any bottle of pills ever could. You are no longer fighting your biology. You are negotiating with it. You realize that you have the resources now to buy the best fuel and the best care. You are becoming a fortress, not a billboard. You aren't maintaining a body, you are protecting an asset. You are at your desk at 2 p.m. In your 30s, this was the dead zone. This was the hour of the sugar crash and the 3rd cup of coffee. But today, the screen is sharp. Your focus is a laser. You realize that while the world thinks your 40s are about physical decline, they're actually about cognitive sovereignty. Because you've cleaned up the biological noise, the inflammation, the poor sleep, the erratic fuel. Your brain has finally been handed the keys to the kingdom. You watch your younger associates bouncing from task to task, fueled by cortisol and adrenaline. They're fast, but they are erratic. You are different. You have executive endurance. You realize that your brain, after 40, is like a seasoned diesel engine. It takes a moment to warm up, but once it's running, it is unstoppable. Research suggests that while fluid intelligence, raw processing speed, peaks early, crystallized intelligence, pattern recognition, and complex problem solving is hitting its stride right now. You find yourself making decisions in 10 minutes that used to take you 10 hours. This isn't just experience, it's biology. Your prefrontal cortex is finally fully integrated with your emotional center. You aren't reacting to the world, you are responding to it. You realize that your health isn't about the size of your biceps, it's about the clarity of your judgment. You are the most formidable person in the room because you are the only one who isn't a slave to their own blood sugar. You aren't just working, you are operating.
You're playing a game of pickup basketball, or perhaps wrestling with your son in the backyard. You feel a familiar twinge in your lower back. 10 years ago, that would have sent you to the couch for a week. Today, you don't panic. You know exactly which muscle is tight and which stretch will release it. You've developed a structural guardrail. You have moved from show muscle to go muscle.
This is the level where you stop exercising for the mirror and start training for durability. You've traded the heavy, ego-driven bench press for deadlifts that protect your spine and carries that build your grip. You notice that your grip strength is higher than it's ever been. Research shows that grip strength is one of the strongest predictors of longevity in men over 40. It's a proxy for total body integrity. You realize you are building a body that can endure a hit and keep moving.
You see the success tax on other men your age? The rounded shoulders, the forward-leaning necks, the shallow breathing. You stand taller. You've realized that posture is a form of nonverbal dominance. By focusing on your posterior chain and your core, you've built a biological suit of armor. You aren't fragile. You are a high-tension cable. You realize that old man strength isn't a myth. It's the result of decades of connective tissue thickening and nervous system efficiency. You are more powerful now than you were at 25 because your brain knows how to recruit every single fiber you own.
It is 7 p.m. You are out at a business dinner. The bread basket is on the table. The appetizers are circulating. In your 30s, this was a minefield. You would eat, spike your insulin, and spend the next 2 hours in a state of agitated exhaustion. Today, you watch the food go by and feel nothing but a calm, clinical indifference. You have reached metabolic mastery. You no longer eat for entertainment. You eat for performance.
You realize that your body has become a precision furnace. Because you've spent the last few years prioritizing protein and fiber, your blood sugar is a flat line. You don't get hangry. You don't have cravings. This is the level where you realize that the most powerful thing you can put in your body isn't a supplement. It's a boundary. You've learned that your 40s are the decade where your metabolic flexibility is won or lost. Research shows that men who maintain muscle mass in this window have a significantly higher metabolic buffer for the decades to come.
You look around the table. You see men your age who are slaves to the menu. They are chasing the next hit of dopamine from a dessert or a cocktail. You feel a surge of quiet power. You are the only one in the room whose mood isn't dictated by his last meal. You have disconnected your emotions from your digestion. You realize that health at this level is the ultimate luxury. It's the ability to enjoy the meal without being consumed by it. You are the master of the fire.
It is 10:30 p.m. You are in your bedroom. The temperature is exactly 67 degrees. The lights are dimmed. There are no screens. You aren't going to bed. You are entering a recovery protocol.
You realize that sleep in your 40s is the most high-leverage activity in your entire life. It is the only time your brain clears out the metabolic waste of the day. It is the only time your testosterone actually replenishes.
You've learned that you can't catch up on sleep on the weekends. That was a younger man's delusion. You treat your sleep window with the same discipline you used to reserve for your board meetings. You've noticed that when you get 7.5 hours of high-quality, cold, dark sleep, you are a different human being. You are kinder. You are sharper. You are faster. Research indicates that during the 40s, the architecture of sleep changes. The deep sleep stages become more fragile. You've responded by becoming an engineer of your own rest. You use the blackout curtains, you use the heavy blanket. You've realized that the success you've built is worthless if you're too tired to enjoy it. You lie down and feel your nervous system downregulate in minutes. This isn't luck, it's design. You wake up the next morning feeling like you've been through a biological car wash. You realize that you aren't getting old. You are finally getting rested. You are at your physician's office for your annual blood work. You aren't there because you're sick. You're there for the data. You look at the results on the portal. Vitamin D, CRP, free testosterone, fasting insulin. In your 30s, these were just letters. Today, they are the dashboard of your second half. You realize that your 40s are the decade where you either manage your hormones or they manage you. You've learned that the midlife crisis is often just a metabolic one. That irritability, the loss of drive, the softening of the spirit, it isn't a personality flaw. It's a chemical environment. You have taken radical responsibility for your internal atmosphere. You've realized that weight training and sunshine aren't just for muscle. They are for your mood. Research shows that as men age, their testosterone drops by about 1% a year. But those who maintain high-intensity movement and low body fat can effectively pause the clock. You feel a surge of vitality that feels different than the frantic energy of your youth. It is a stable, grounded burn. You aren't chasing highs. You are maintaining a high-functioning baseline. You realize that you have the clarity to lead your family and your business because your internal chemistry isn't working against you. You are a man in full. You've moved past the struggle of getting in shape and into the era of being the shape. You are standing on the deck of a boat, or perhaps just in your own backyard, watching the sunset. You look at your hands. They are strong. You feel your breath. It is deep and effortless. You realize that you have reached the ultimate level, the integrated man. You have the wealth you spent your 40s building. But more importantly, you have the biological vessel capable of enjoying it. You look back at the man you were at 41. He was worried about the crash. He thought the 40s were the beginning of the end. You realize he was wrong. They were the beginning of the informed half. You've spent a decade learning that health is the only currency that doesn't devalue. You see men your age who have millions in the bank, but cannot walk a mile without pain. You realize they are the truly poor. You are the one who is truly wealthy because you have option value over your own time. The accidental health of your 20s is gone, replaced by something far more durable, earned vitality. You are entering your 50s not as a man trying to hold on, but as a man ready to level up. You have the mind of a sage and the body of a protector. You realize that the 40s weren't a decline. They were a filter.
They filtered out the undisciplined and the accidental. They left you. You look at the horizon. You aren't afraid of the future. You are the architect of it.